What up, it's Dane here coming at you with a new haircut, man. Anyway, so this is the best advice you're basically gonna see when you're dieting, when you're cutting, all this kind of stuff, right? So obviously I'm assuming a lot of you are cutting for the summer, like trying to get ripped and stuff, and that's all good, right? But your number one priority, and I'm sure it is you want to maintain the lean muscle mass that you've got from your bulk, right? So many people are making these mistakes, so make sure this is not you. So first of all, when you're training, do not increase your volume when you're dieting. I know most bodybuilders, especially some bodybuilders that are taking the juice, the steroids, they will start increasing volume, all this kind of stuff. However, you need to understand that they're taking extra stuff that you're not taking. So what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to recommend to you is that when you're dieting, reduce the training volume. You can even do about, say, even 5 to 6 sets per week per muscle group, obviously depending on what muscle group, because the smaller muscle groups like the biceps, calves, all these kind of muscle groups that you use more often than not, and they're a lot smaller, they require less work, really. Let's be honest. Like, you use your calves, is that how you say it? Whatever, every single day. Your biceps, they're small muscle group, they don't need as much volume as the legs. So basically, when you try to diet, you need to try and maintain your strength instead of worrying about the volume. There are some cases, and I'll tell you in a second, where you can still do the so-called pump work. It's kind of this, because it is still, like, it's got its own time and place. However, when it comes to dieting, like I always say, maintain strength on the bar. At the least, try to increase it if you're a beginner, because you'll still be in that newbie gains phase. So let's summarize this up for you quick. So when you want to spare lean body mass on a cut, on a diet, depending on how aggressive your calorie deficit is, if it's, say, 1,000 calories like below maintenance, your protein intake should be a lot higher, like 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. So that's number one, high protein intake. And not only does it just spare lean body mass as well, it actually does provide more satiety on a diet as well. So number one, protein. Number two, reduce the training volume, and I recommend you can reduce the training frequency as well, meaning how often you train per week. Now, once we reduce the volume frequency, we increase the intensity, which again means weight on a bar. Just try and maintain that. Even drop the sets, like I said, drop the reps. That's all about the volume. Just get the weight on the bar going. So that's basically the best advice you'll ever receive when cutting and dieting. Now, let's face it, some old idiot that loves a bit of cardio, no, I'm joking. If you love cardio, but I don't. So anyway, those guys that want to do cardio when dieting, that's good. One thing I have to say though is, never in your life ever go on a big calorie deficit and do excessive cardio. You will do way more damage than good. All your, like, even weight gain or fat loss plateau will be water retention, and it will mark the fat loss, sending you into a confusion, into a disaster. So if you're gonna go one way or another, either do excessive cardio with a slight calorie deficit, or just cut the cardio out completely and do a big calorie deficit. That way you're picking one extreme, you're not picking both extremes. So let's talk more about cardio. Should you do moderate to low intensity? Should you do high intensity interval training? And here's the deal. First of all, beginners, I recommend you just stick off with, and this is like beginners as in cardio, not just weight training. I recommend you just start off with low to moderate intensity, and that's typically what I do. This, maybe for 1 hour of, say, low to moderate intensity, this could be walking, going on a bicycle, just for 1 hour. A 145-pound person will roughly burn, say, 100 calories per mile, right? So for me, I'm weighing about, geez, I don't know, I've lost so much muscle mass now, but say a 200-pound person, I think maybe roughly about maybe 500 to 600 calories if I did low to moderate intensity per hour. So enough about me now. What's in it for you? What's in it for you here is that I'm telling you the type of cardio you require. So beginners, you should stick to low to moderate intensity. For more medium or intermediate to advanced people, even cardio, even people who do weight training, right? Because weight training in a way can be like so-called interval training, especially when you do legs, right? When you do legs high reps, you know after you've done that set, you're like, you go like, you crazy tired. So that's it. High intensity interval training, you can do that for intermediate or advanced people. And the reason being, they both have their own time and place, right? Here's why. High intensity interval training just means you spend less time in the gym or wherever you're doing it, say 15 to 20 minutes. However, you're working your ass off, right? If you're just doing 15 to 20 minutes and you're not working your ass off, then it's likely you're not going to burn the same amount of calories. Now that said, you will burn a lot more calories in a low to moderate intensity than you would in a high intensity during the activity. However, post activity, so after you do the activity on a low to moderate intensity, you won't burn much or not even that many calories after the activity. However, in a high intensity training group, you'll burn a lot more calories after you've done the exercise because of the EPOC, the excessive post oxygen consumption, right? So that means you're still going to kind of burn roughly the same amount of calories. It doesn't really make that much difference. However, that said, if your main aim is trying to retain lean body mass and you don't like to do cardio at all, then maybe you just want to get cardio over and done if you want to do the high intensity interval training. Now when you do this, make sure you don't as well do the thing that I said before. Don't go one extreme to the other. Maximum 3 times per week, right? Because high intensity interval training can be very taxing on your legs as well. It's like basically a leg workout in itself. So doing it more than 3 times a week, just don't recommend it. If you can, I recommend you actually do the cardio in the AM and do the weightlifting in a PM, or vice versa, right? So splitting up, not doing, say, a leg workout and then straight after doing high intensity interval training, because that's a good way to guarantee you're gonna blow out your knee socket or some shit like this, twist your ankle, because you're gonna be exhausted as it is. Why can't I speak, man? So anyway, that's the best cutting and dieting advice you'll probably receive for the summer. So just make sure you really increase or at least maintain the intensity. I need to go to a speaking course, man. Intensity on the bar and keep the cardio. Why can't I speak, man? Cardio, low to moderate intensity if you're a beginner or even an advanced person, just depending on your situation. Personally, I do low to moderate intensity most of the time because I don't want it to affect my leg workout. Now, just before I end this video, because this video is getting way too long, man, and this haircut is making me look weird. And basically what I was gonna say. Yeah, anyway, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say actually. So if you're wondering what cardio is low to moderate intensity, it just be something like a bicycle with not much impact, because like I just said, the impact can affect your recovery from the weight training. And you could just do brisk walking, which I really like, and just track how many steps I do per day. So that's the video, man. I don't even know what other videos to make for you because no one's leaving me suggestions. So anyway, stay positive, stay smiling, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Speaking course is needed.